good with it? In the hood with it? Welcome back to the Collective Clips, where you already know we get it in. But before we get it in, let's hit that like and subscribe button. Ding! Put your notification bell on all, so that way you're directed in the direction of the dope content I'm kicking. And I highly appreciate all the support, man. We're going up on this channel, and it's all because of you. And for that, I can say I'm very humbled, and I'm very much so appreciative, man. Thank you so much. I couldn't do it without you. So I wanted to tell you guys a prison story. Man, we haven't told no prison stories in a minute here on this channel. Well, wait up. We told one yesterday, right? But that was Superwood, brother. That motherfucker has legs, right? I wanted to talk about a situation, man, that I came across, and I was like, wow, these motherfuckers don't play, right? You know, when I was young in CYA, I met a gang of Southsiders, Ranials, right? And over time, you know, I hated them. I hated them. Right from the gate, I was indoctrinated and told, man, these were my worst enemies. Get off on them because they're going to try to get off on you as much times as possible, right? And I tried. Oh, I tried, man. I tried to scrape them. And every time I tried, 10 more came, right? And that's just the way it was. And I started to realize the number situation was pretty drastic, right? It was drastic for us. It was hectic for us because it didn't matter, man, how many times we got off, how many times we rushed someone. They'd always put 3 or 4 more vatos in their place. For facts, right? For sure. So I realized, okay, the number game was not even close. And numbers mean something. They absolutely do, man. I mean, when you're fighting, it's a never-ending never-ending line of soldiers coming your way. It gets old fast, right? So it got old, but I started to gain a respect, and I started to gain a knowing of what was going on around there. And realized that some of these vatos, man, were just about the business. And there was nothing I could do. I couldn't even make my mark, man. But I started to gain a little respect from them as well. My name started to be known as far as, hey, that northerner right there will put in his work. He'll get off. He'll fight at least, you know. And that right there goes a long ways when you're in the youth authority. If you're a fighter, if you're down to handle your business. And little by little, like I said, respect was given all different ways. So as I got older, when I went to prison, I understood that respect was key, and that the numbers, I was already prepared. The youth authority prepared me for prison because, and it does that. That's why they're called YA babies, man. You're a little bit rowdy, a little bit obnoxious, a little different, right? But you're knowing the get down. You know what it takes to be incarcerated, how it feels to be locked up, to do time away from your family. And that goes a long way, man. You could understand these first termers that have never really been apart from their family or the streets, man. You could see them from a mile away. Fish out of water. Marco Polo. When they're in prison, it's not hard to realize someone that's a first termer that's barely gotten locked up. They're moving real slow and just looking around, and they're apprehensive. Butterflies are in their stomach. Larvae, right? They're nervous. But people that were in the youth authority or people that have been around locked up, they're carefree a little bit. Not fucking flamboyant, but just, they know what it is. You know, it prepares you. I didn't wish the youth authority upon no one because it was fucking wild. It was dangerous. It was crazy, right? But at the same time, it did prepare you as a man if you were going to be incarcerated in the future in prisons. Prison's very different, though. Prison's built on respect. Everything you've done on the streets and everything you've done prior to getting to that gate and going on that yard doesn't matter, doesn't count. You're starting from zero. Okay, it's the playoffs. And it doesn't matter, bro. Once you go home, you now have home court advantage. So you could win, right? Or you could lose. You can get swept. So every time I got to prison in my first term, I kind of was looking around, like staying aware. But at the same time, I was prepared for incarceration. And I knew the Sureños, the Southsiders, my enemy at that time, were the deepest. I didn't sleep on it. You best believe this. The brothers were strong. Northerners were there, but the essays were the deepest, right? So I could say why it went a long way in helping me prepare for that. So I get asked, who's the most dangerous group? Who's putting in the most work? Well, it all depends on your yard. It all depends on what yard you get to. I remember Susanville, okay? Susie's house, the White House. The skinheads in the woods were the deepest on that yard. That was their prison solidified. No questions asked. No, anyone that was in Susanville would tell you, yes, the Southsiders, the Norteños, everybody made their mark in the sand, and everybody was down to hold their own, the brothers, right? But the skinheads and woods controlled that prison yard. They had all the best jobs. They had all the Jews. You know, a lot of those cops, a lot of the COs that work at High Desert and what do you call it, Susanville. Those prisons right there, they're in close proximity of each other. A lot of them are very racist, man. A lot of them are very, they support their skin color. Let's just say that, their pigmentation. That's a fact. And if it ain't white, it ain't right, brother, in Susanville. And I remember, man, the skinheads were just doing pretty much whatever they wanted to do. You know, and other groups would try to pose a threat. And of course, in prison, it's all about respect, like I said. And ain't no one fucking gonna get fucking punked, right? But man, it's hard to overcome sheer numbers, and they definitely had it their way. You know, if they wanted to roll someone up off the yard, they did that. They were doing pegadas all the time. So I figured, hey, they're the most dangerous group here. They're the most wild, right? And those were our enemies. So we always knew we had to be on point with these skinheads in these woods, because brother, they'll fuck you off, brother, right? They're just different. So I remember going to the hole. And I remember, well, before going to the hole, my cell was right where the hole was. So here's my cell. I could look out my back window. It's a little thin window. And I could see one side of the yard. Because in Susanville, in the yard, there's like a centerpiece. There's two cages. There's one cage this way, a group yard, and one cage that way on the left-hand side. And that's another group yard, right? So where I was celled up, I could see the left side yard, right? Which I think was B side. There was A side, B side, might have been A side. And I could see guys out there working out, and it was always a gang of skinheads. I remember they'd go out there. They were so deep on that yard. They actually had to place them on both sides of the yard. That's how deep they were. And the Southsiders were deep, and Northerners weren't very deep. In fact, I remember one time me and my cellie were kicking back in the cell, and I look out and I tell my cellie, I said, damn, look at the homies are out there busting down. And he looks out and he says, those aren't the homies. I said, they're not? He said, hell no, those ain't the homies. I said, nah, look, they got Huelga birds and big old 14s on them. He goes, nah, those aren't the homies, bro. He's like, those are the degenerates. Those are the non-actives. I was like, serio? There was about 30 of them out there working out. I was like, oh shit. Later on, about an hour later, there's 3 dudes in the snow. It snows out there in Susanville. It was in the snow. They're working out all cold and shit. I'm like, damn, bro. The homie looks in and he goes, those are the homies, right? I was like, fuck. That's how bad the numbers were, right? But it was what it was, man. That led me to understand right there, man, that dropouts, degenerates, all that were taking over. They were getting deeper, right? Not taking over necessarily, but the numbers were getting stronger. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, you know, what happened? But it was what it was. So anyways, the story I wanted to tell is I went out of state. Okay, and where I was, the Southsiders were definitely, they had a big carro. They had a big car, man. They didn't play. They handled their business. And for the most part, man, there was no real beef. It wasn't like Southsiders, and this was in Oregon. It wasn't like Southsiders and blacks got off or Southsiders and whites. It was all kind of internal. There was a lot of internal shit going on. You know, you'd see dudes whacked, and it was very rare to see dudes whacked. Not like California where it happens all the time. But in this state, man, it was very infrequent stabbings and shit. Like the whole state would hear about it. Hey, did you hear what happened over here? Avalta got stabbed. Did you hear what happened at Snake River? Avalta got stabbed. They have a prison, Snake River, there, or Two Rivers, or they have a prison called EOCI, OSCI, OSP. Did you hear what happened over here, right? Not very many prisons. I think there's like maybe 7, 8 prisons in that state. There's like, Snake River was probably the most dangerous. It was the equivalent to high desert out there. And then Two Rivers was like a whole different state-of-the-art prison. And then they had, of course, the old prisons like OSP, which was a penitentiary. And then OSCI, and of course EOCI, which was Eastern Correctional Institution or something like that. Eastern Oregon Correctional Institution. A lot of people called it EO, right? EOCI, whatever. And so I told the story about EO. I told the story about getting there and was what it was, right? But anyway, so trip out, fucking, I'm right there in the hole, right? I had gotten into a fight with the Southsider, man. We happened to be passing each other, and we got off as soon as we seen each other, man. It was on site, pretty much. And we handled our business. We're in the hole. Now, in this hole, there was a yard. And I could see that yard, man. And I seen that every fucking yard, the Southsiders were fucking DPing someone, jumping on someone, whacking someone. Not necessarily whacking them, but beating them up. And I remember tripping like, damn, these vatos, they fucking get off. They like cannibalize each other, right? And you got to understand, up to this point, I'd been in prison in California, and I was used to seeing a lot of respect in it one way. And over here it was just wild, man. Vatos just boxing, fighting on the yard. It was a trip, right? So that stood with me. That stuck with me. Like, these dudes are too concerned with cannibalizing each other, fighting their own, they don't really pose a threat to me, right? I'm not really tripping like that. I was wrong, right? Every time I fucking hit a main line, every time I came out of that hole, Vatos would rush me. It was I did some hard time there, right? But it was what it was. Not everywhere is the same. So you fast forward to the future, I'm in California, the prison system, right? And I'm looking at the hole, and I'm in the hole, right? And I always did a lot of time in the hole, man. I was always fucking in the hole for one reason or another. And I'm in the hole, and we hear the buzzer go off. Man down in the yard. And the Southsiders were out in the yard, right? They bring this dude in, man, on a gurney. This fool's cut up to ribbons. I'm like, ooh, they whacked somebody, right? And I was thinking, okay, they fucking, if someone was in bad standings, whatever, right? A couple days later, Southsiders are back on the yard. Goes down again. I'm like, fuck. These vatos are no joke. Another vato, he's a fucking limping in, they fucking hit him with a piece, right? Next day, down again. I'm like, God damn, right? What the fuck's going on out there? This is what was happening. So I guess prior to that, there was a gang of Sureños, I remember, they had got off with the brothers, right? The blacks and the Southsiders had, whatever happened, I don't know the whole story, but they had got off. There was a little melee, and there was about 30 to 40 Southsiders that got locked up because of it. Because one thing about them, man, is they all get off. They have to, right? But there was a gang of fools that I guess didn't rise to the occasion. They didn't do what they were supposed to do. So what they were doing was every day they were either eliminating these dudes who didn't participate, or they were doing a chequeada on the ones that fucking, just didn't do whatever I don't know, for whatever reason they had, right? And this is when I understood the Southsiders moved different than everyone else. See, with the Norteños, I can tell you this. With the Norteños, if you have to get hands put on you, if you have to get smashed, you're done. Your career's over. You're in the hat. You're considered a degenerate. Whatever it is, you're no longer functioning in the household, right? If it comes to that point, they will not just DP you and jump on you and stomp you out and then you're good. That's not the way it works, right? With Norteños, man, your discipline is going to be educational. You're going to figure out, they're going to educate your mind to figure out why you did what you did, how you fucked up, man. And in some cases, man, if it's just past the point of no return, then you're going to get whacked. You're going to get whacked and then you're done. You're going to get put on the other side, whether you like it or not. It's what it is. There is no going back out to the yard and take your lumps and you're good, sew yourself back up. It's no. With the Norteños, they're going to gurney you out of there, and that's that, right? They're playing for keeps in a real way. At least they were back in my days, right? Now with the brothers, man, they're street gang members. There's really not too many prison organizations like that they fall up under anymore. I know the BGF back in the days was very strong, but it kind of doesn't hold the same weight as it used to. But the brothers, man, they'll jump on you or beat you up for whatever reason. Most of the time it's personal, or it can be gang related, Crip blood stuff, Crip on Crip. But for the most part, man, when you see them fight, like say in the hole in prison in a group yard, it's not because they're pushing an issue. It's more so because that dude fucked up or disrespected someone. That's how the brothers get down. Now with the Woods, a little different. Okay, the Woods are kind of roll. Their politics are similar to the Mexicans. I don't know if they discipline you and they check you. I can't tell you that. But I know there's been plenty of times I've been in the hole or been on yards and I've seen them get blasted, man. They blast each other, right? Like serious business. And man, them Woods, them knives are different. And them skins. One thing about a skinhead is different. Skins and Woods move different. Okay? A Wood, you can get off on a Wood and it can become something major, but 9 times out of 10, it's not. You get out of Wood like, hey, your brother's fucking disrespecting. They'll deal with it. A skinhead, if you were to walk up to a skinhead and be like, hey, bro, your homeboy's disrespect, the skinhead's going to fire on you. He's going to take off. There's no way you're going to disrespect his comrade, another skinhead, or even speak on them. They're not going to fucking get off on each other unless it's some fucking shit between them. They're going to get off on you for even mentioning them. That's how skins roll, right? It's different. So I see Wes Watson tell all these stories about skinheads and Woods, and they have totally different programs. They function because they're all white, but it's 2 different mentalities, right? So now the Southsiders, right? The Southsiders will DP the shit out of you. They'll do a chequeada with weaponry, right? The fact that when I said I seen the guy coming out all cut up to ribbons, he was still in good standings. He just couldn't stand, right? He went out to that yard and got disciplined, and his discipline was motherfuckers were going to cut him up. They were going to fucking hit him with knives, with razors and shit. And one thing about Southside, you very rarely see them use razors. Very rarely. They're always about metal play, man. They're always about putting something in you. So they'll literally take a motherfucker out on the yard and fucking hit him. So anyways, that time I was in the hole for about a month. Okay? Within that 1 month, the Southsiders whacked or stuck at least 12 different of their homies. Every day. It was going down, right? But let me tell you about this particular situation, right? So there was one dude in the hole that used to bump baking soda breath on the door. He used to talk hella shit. He'd woof, man. And he was a 2-5er, okay? He was a 2-5er. And for those that don't know what a 2-5er is, they're a dropout gang, man, that was established a long time ago, I think in the early 80s. And they're against Southsiders, man. Southside, they were once Southsiders, a lot of them, right? And they're like straight enemies. And so I remember there was one in the hole, just one. And he would all day long be on his door talking shit to the Sureños. When the Southsiders used to go to showers or they go out be on yard release, this Volta was just on him. And now he was on walk alone status. And this is what walk alone status means in prison. Soft shoe chrono shit, right? He would be, everything he was done was by himself. He didn't have no cellie. He was on cell alone. When he went to the yard, they'd take him out in the evening time on the yard by himself. He'd be placed in the cage by himself. So no one really had action at getting to him. And he knew this. But prison is different, right? He knew this, so his thing was he would woof that high-power shit on people. And the Southsiders, man, you don't play with them. Very dangerous. They don't take disrespect lightly. I mean, there's sometimes you can disrespect Southsiders just by looking at them wrong, right? They move different in prison. They're a very dangerous group, right? And so this dude would be woofing on him, talking shit, and I'd see them. They'd be gritting their teeth because they're not, just like Norteños, they're not supposed to acknowledge degenerates or dropouts, period. That's why it boggles my mind that I see these YouTube content creators that are supposedly, allegedly active, even mentioning dropout channels or disrespecting people that are no longer in good standings. And they got the word dropout all confused. They don't even know. But to even do that is acknowledgement. You're acknowledging, and I understand this is the streets and this ain't prison, so it's different. But you can't in one light fucking support prison politics and be up under that and then be acting out of character. Well, it is what it is. That's just, the way I look at it. So anyways, this guy was woofing that high power shit on these dudes, right? And I could see him. They wanted to fucking just spit on him, right? They just wanted to get him, but they couldn't. He knew that, right? So he kept getting a little bit more boisterous and flamboyant. And he would bang on his door all night, try to keep actives up, man. I remember we're in that motherfucker. Even Norteños were like, damn, man, we hope they fucking stab this dude, bro. This dude right here is a fucking big mouth. And he'd be woofing on Norteños and woofing on active. Anyone active, he was anti-active, right? And I remember this fool, he was a J-Cat. He sticked and poked fuck actives on his face and just crazy, right? Just doing too much. And I remember there was wheelas flying, even within groups, like, hey, porfas, if you can catch this fool, right? Everybody wanted to catch him. But you just couldn't. And you had to understand and know that that's just the way it is. Well, into this day, right? So there was 2 Southsiders in the showers. So that's what they would do. They'd bring you and your cellie out and put you guys in the showers, lock you into the showers, right? Most of the time you'd be locked in. But what happened was there was this black guy. He was a cool ass dude, was a sergeant, right? And he used to bullshit. He only talked to actives. He didn't fuck with degenerates. He didn't fuck with non-actives. He didn't like the way that they woofed on door. Not all non-actives did that, man. There was a lot of quiet ones that just did their thing, their program or whatever. You wouldn't even know who they were, but there were some that did woof. They did talk that shit. I don't know, man. They dropped out and just, their mouth didn't though, right? So, he didn't like that. He was old school. He had been in prison or been in the fucking system for a long time, and a lot of those old school COs, they respect the get down. They respect the politics. They know what it is, man. They're just trying to do their highlight and get on. And they respect, what the gang members are doing, man, because they know a prison is hard to survive and to navigate them waters, Holmes. You got to be on point, right? You got to be very respectful. Plus, a lot of the actors are very respectful. That's the truth. So anyways, he was cool like that. What happened was the dude that was bumping baking soda breath, he got into it with the cop. The cop took him to I guess, fucking the yard and would place him on walk alone. And this dude got into it with the cops. Well, here's some game. Here's some knowledge you can't get in college. And I advise anyone that's going to go to prison or is in the lifestyle that might go to prison, listen to what I'm telling you. Never fraternize, disrespect, or anything the canine. Don't disrespect the placa or get too comfortable with them or anything. Because let me tell you, just like anyone else, they're men and they don't take disrespect lightly. And they have power over the keys, right? Meaning doors can get left open, vatos can get chained up. It happens all the fucking time. And if you think I'm lying or I'm fucking just putting too much on it, this ain't mal salsa, brother. This is straight fucking pica pica. This is fucking muy caliente, say. Muy caliente. Hot, right? Hot sauce right off the press. Them vatos will set you up and have you fucking destroyed on the yard. Never disrespect the cops, right? Never. Even if they upset you, man, there's 602s, there's grievances, there's things that you can do to fight back. But disrespecting them, not only are you going to get whacked within your own group for doing that, for bringing fucking bad attention on your group, but them cops don't forget. They don't forgive, right? They're vicious. They're the most dangerous out of everybody. So anyways, this dude was disrespecting the cop. He got into it with the cop. I guess he just J-catted out. All right. Like I said, this cop didn't like non-actives anyway, so it wasn't nothing to see one get stomped out in front of him and for him to fucking press the button later after his brains were already done, right? So this day, there was two Southerners. They were in the shower. They had been placed in the shower, and they were going to do yard release. And now the Southerners that were placed in the shower were from the top tier. Okay, so they would keep it split tier. Top tier programmed with top tier, bottom tier programmed with bottom tier, just the way it was, right? Every once in a while, they do, like, they'd have sections where this whole section went to showers today, that section went to yard, and vice versa, right? But for the most part, it was kept top tier, bottom tier. So this dude that woofed was on the bottom tier all the time, right? He was located like maybe 3 doors down from the showers. So anyways, they took 2 Southsiders from up top and they placed them in the showers. They had 2 Southsiders up top in the showers. They took 2 Southsiders and they put them in the bottom shower, which they hadn't really did this too much. Every once in a while it would happen. It was common, you know, they want to hurry up and knock showers out, these cops in their shift. So the next shift doesn't have to do it, right? And it's because fools will start bitching in there like, hey, we didn't get our showers or whatever. So anyways, they put this dudes in the shower. And they're moving Southsiders from the bottom tier. It's their yard time. So they're going on group yard, right? So they're moving them on the yard. They're coming to each cell. They're unlocking them, boom, cuffing them up. They take them out to the cell 2 by 2, right? So there's a lot going on. You got vatos upstairs showering. You got vatos downstairs showering. Usually there ain't too much movement like this, but it was a big setup. It was all set up. So as these dudes are coming out, this sergeant comes, right? And he takes that dude that's bumping baking soda breath and he places them in a cage. There was a cage in the middle of the day room. I guess the day room was cleared out. It wasn't no tables in the day room because it's a hole. But they had a cage in there where they would put you on potty watch. So in that place, man, they put you in that cage. You were on Front Street. Everyone could see you. So everyone's looking at this guy. You can see everyone at their window looking at this guy. And this guy's kind of nervous. Like, why'd they place him out here? There's a lot of movement going on. He's getting nervous. I mean, the Southsiders are looking at him, right? This fucking sergeant left that cage, left him cuffed, but left that cage open. Man, let me tell you what happened. This black guy's walking 2 Southsiders out to the yard, right? Just a regular old cop walking them. And you'd walk straight down, then you bust a right. There's like a little hallway, boom, you go, it's right by the showers. This cop, the sergeant, opens the showers, lets them dudes come out. Usually you cuff them up, there's gotta be 2 cops. They're just getting dried off right there. Bam, they put their shoes on. Right? Usually it's just chanclas in the hole. These motherfuckers got shoes. They're slipping them on. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm peeping it out. Like, what? Look at the move, right? Every time I say, look at the movida, look at the movida, right? It's going down. And as soon as fucking them dudes that were coming out of the thing, they're cuffed up. These vatos slipped with the cuff keys. Boom, boom. They took off running to that cage. The dudes from the showers took off 4. Man. One of them had a razor. Man, they went up in that cage, bro. There was fucking 5 dudes in that cage. That dude was trying to fight back. He was screaming for dear life. Help! Right? And that sergeant just sat there and just shook his head. The other cop went out to the yard like he didn't see nothing because, you know, you still got a group of Southerners out in the yard. And then dudes from the top showers, they were like, get a message. That's right, that's it. And I was like, damn. And everybody was banging on the doors. I remember, boom, 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 boom. They were just whacking the fuck out of that. They didn't kill him. They fucked him off for good 2-3 minutes. That's an eternity, right? Hey, then the cops came running in from all the different buildings or whatever, and they snatched the Southsiders up. Them fools didn't even trip, blood all over them. That fool was leaking in the corner. They cut. Remember I said he had F actives right here in his face? They fucking cut it. They whacked his whole cheek, sliced it all up. They cut it all up. They took that whole tattoo off. It was crazy. I'm telling you, man, Southerners are different, right? With that being said, I hope that you move smooth with a purpose, get everything that you want coming. And remember, at the end of the day, it's all about the strive, the struggle, the struggle, the strive. It's acts like this and things that I've seen in prison that would boggle the regular person's mind, a civilian's mind, and trip you out. Go to prison if you want and bump that baking soda breath and see what happens. And disrespect the canine. You know, I can tell you another story. Let it trip out since we have a few more minutes. There was a brothel, Oregon system, right? I'm in the hole. This dude talked shit. I mean, he talked a lot of shit, okay? Well, I don't know if you remember the year 2000. When 2000 happened, Y2K. Motherfuckers were scared that computer systems were going to fuck up and everything. And I remember this dude was getting real nervous because where I was at in the hole was controlled by the tower. They would be able to open your door with the computer. And the word on the curb was that these computers were going to fuck up and all the doors were going to open. So everybody was strapped up ready. Like, because, you know, motherfuckers were on site in there. I was nervous. I ain't going to lie. I was like, fuck. You know, see motherfuckers come out, bro. I'm going to have to whack me a few of them. I was going to go to the back of my cell and just get to poking, right? But this dude was hella nervous. He kept telling the cops, you got to put me in the cage. You got to put me in a cage, you know? Shit. Let me tell you something. That Vaulta disrespected the K9 too. They were different. They beat the fuck out of this dude in front of everybody. Talking all that. They say, oh, you want to talk shit to everyone? They drugged this motherfucker in front of everyone's door and stomped him out. In front of everyone. The cops did that. No one even had to get to him. They did it. I remember it was a trip. Anyways, thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I honestly and truly believe in, and that's the betterment of all people. Let me know what you think. True stories. All facts, man. This is The Gun. Bang, bang.